Hi guys, I wanted to talk about a crochet bind off that I've kind of showed in different videos where I wanted to do like the crochet chains in between, and I typically use the tool, the crochet hook, and I take them off the loops and I make loops in between, and then I put the next peg on. You've seen me do that, but I actually probably found a different way to do it, which is probably the way you're supposed to. Again, when I did that first video, I was like you. I was just learning about loom knitting. It was a technique that worked for me, and every technique I think that we learn, we eventually learn to improve upon it. So what I'm doing now, you'll still need this at the end, the crochet hook, but what we're going to do now is a little different type of crochet kind of bind off. Now this is the swatch from my half stitch video. This is the shirt from my half stitch video. So I decided that it'd be great to just show one right after the other. So this is our little swatch that we did using the half stitch. So go and find that video if you're curious about this little swatch pattern I have on here. But now I want to show you how to take this off using a different type of crochet cast off. And I think it's actually a little more simpler than what I have been doing in the past. So I'm hoping it'll work better for people that maybe aren't as good with the crochet hook as much. And this way you only need this maybe at the end of the project versus needing it for in between. So all we're going to do, and I'm going to face this towards me and then turn it to show you, is what we're going to do is we're going to kind of create the chains using the pegs on the loom, and we're going to be moving the pegs over. It's similar to the knit bind off if you've seen that video, but this way we're including those chains in that we may need for a project to make it a little more looser of an edge. So what we're going to do, excuse me, is we've got our working yarn. We're actually going to rewrap the first peg right now. So you're just going to put your yarn over top of it and knit over. We're going to put two in between. I'm not sure if we need to. This is just to show you how. So I wrapped it once and I knit it over. Now I'm going to rewrap it one more time, that first peg, and knit over. Now I'm going to take that loop from that peg and put it to the next peg. Knit over, as you can see, and then wrap that peg once, knit over, wrap it twice, and knit over, you can see, and then we're moving that loop to the next loop, or to the next peg, sorry. Okay. Now the amount of wrapping you have to do on that peg will change depending on the loom you're using and the yarn you're using. I'm only saying two in between because that's all I'm going to do, but what you may need to do is a swatch like this on the loom that you're using, and then you'll be able to see exactly how many times you might need to wrap it. So again, I moved it over, as you can see, look at it this way, I moved it over, and I'm going to knit it over, and then when I say I wrap the peg, I'm just rewrapping that same peg. I wrapped it once, and I knit over, and then I'm going to go back through and knit that peg one more time. Like I said, this will change depending on the yarn you're using, depending on the loom you're using, but it's just a different way to take it off. So I moved it over, and now I'm going to knit it over. So it's a move over, knit over, wrap over type project. So I wrap it once, that same peg, and I knit over. I wrap it again, and I knit over. And then I move it to the next peg. And then, as I moved it over, I'm just going to knit it over. So knit that over, do one, wrap again, do two, wrap again, and move it over to the final peg. And do a knit over. Excuse me. Okay, now what you're going to want to do is you're going to get your scissors, which I forgot to get out. Okay. We're going to cut that extra strand. We don't need that much of it. And now we may use the crochet hook just to take it off this peg. If you can kind of hold, you're going to place it on there. And now we have the loop on there like we would normally do. Excuse me. We're going to wrap the yarn around the peg, around the crochet hook, and then we're going to pull that yarn through and then tighten it. And that's creating a different type. Hang on a second, that's going to create a different type of cast off. Now it's looking a little weird here because I just got done doing a half stitch, so there's a little more gap than there probably would normally be in between these pegs, because I just got done doing the half stitch and all I did was go back through and do a row and knit all the loops over so that I could do the crochet off. But what it still does is it creates kind of like the loops in between, like you do when you use the crochet hook through the whole project. But it makes it a little easier for people that don't want to have to hold on to this and do the loops in between like I've done before. This way you do all the looping pretty much right on your crochet, or on your pegs, so it's not as intensive. So as you can see, and then you just, sometimes I re-knot this, I mean, if you want to make sure it doesn't come apart. But it's just a different way to kind of do like a crochet type bind off. It's a way to get those, you know, almost the loops that you'd want in between, which are kind of cute. And like I said, this was the half stitch swatch, so that's why when I went back through it kind of has more of a gap, because I went from doing a 2/2 kind of stitch to a doing the bind off. So that's all it is, and that's just a different way to do your crochet bind off, to not have to use the crochet hook through the whole taking it off. So I hope this helps. Have a good day.